Hello and welcome to another IELTS Learning Tips video. My name's Bernie Wall and I'm an IELTS trainer specialising in teaching and working with students who need high bands 7 and 8, and sometimes those scores in every part of the test. Today I want to look at the listening, and I want to look again at the multiple choice questions, because it seems to me that this is an area that I keep getting questions about and that students seem to struggle with quite a bit. So I'm going to have another look at how to tackle multiple choice questions, and I'm going to look in particular at two questions from the Cambridge books, and we'll look at one from section 1 and one from section 2. So I have a presentation which I'll share with you now. If I can just find the share button, and then we'll go through this, and hopefully it will help to sort it out for you. So the key thing about the multiple choice is to keep it simple. The problem is that students often make this too complicated, and then it can get to be a bit of a nightmare. So let's see how we can keep it simple and home in on the correct question, the correct answer, sorry. So firstly, as I said, don't overcomplicate it. One of the problems is that often people try to read too much of the question, and there's not that much time. So if you try and read all the questions and all the choices, you're just not going to get through them all. Sometimes students try to remember too much. So you're trying to remember the question, you're trying to remember the choices, and then when it gets to the listening, you get too confused. You need to listen and read and write, obviously, at the same time. And this is quite a high-level skill. So you need to really work on this and practice it. So one of the ways of building up this skill is that sometimes you'll need to listen more than once. And don't worry about that. If you need to listen more than once to get the exact answer, then just do it. And you'll find that the more you do this, the less you'll need to listen, because as your skill starts to build, then you won't have to do it more than once anymore. And you need to practice a lot. You can't just do it overnight. You really need to practice a lot. So find lots of multiple choice questions and practice them a lot so that you can do it more quickly. So here's the strategy. Focus on the stem. That means the actual question, not the choices. So just look at the stem and really understand what it's asking you. Underline just one key word. This is the opposite of reading, where you need several. One key word or one key phrase is what you will be listening out for when the tape starts. As soon as you hear this key word, then really focus on what's being said as you look at the choices. Check the choices as you listen. You may be able to cross some out as you go through, and that will minimize what you're looking for. If you've got 4 choices, this is rare in listening, usually it's only 3. But if you have 4 choices, 2 should seem very close. And then check those 2 very carefully, because one will be a better answer than the other. If you have a 3 choice, which is normally the case in listening, then one will fit exactly what you're looking for, and the others will not. Even though they may contain words that you hear, they will not fit what you're actually looking for. And then select the answer. Okay, so here's an example. This is from section 1, so it should be fairly straightforward. And I've highlighted what we need to find in orange and some background in green. So here, where will the 4 p.m. concert of Latin American music take place? So we're looking for a venue, where, and we're looking specifically about the Latin American music. In the second one, We're looking for the beginning of something. And the beginning is about the boat race. So we're looking for when the boat race begins. Where the boat race begins, because we have a series of venues here. So we want to know the starting place. And in the third example, we want to know about the boat race teams, and we're specifically asked for some information about one of them. So that's what we're looking for. So when we start to listen, this is for the first question, we hear that there are lots of free concerts, including pop music and Latin American music. And when we hear the Latin American music, we need to focus. So the speaker asked what time it begins. And we find out that there are repetitions of these concerts in various venues and various times. And remember, we're looking for the 4 p.m. concert. Oops, sorry. Let me just go back. The 4 p.m. concert. And we find out that the 4 p.m. one is in the City Museum. The others are the library and the theatre, but that's not important because we only want the 4 p.m. So if we go back to the question, then we know that the answer is A, because it takes place in a museum. Now let's go on to the next question about the boat race. So we hear that the boat race is an event for the family. So now we focus because we need more information. We want to know when it starts. Immediately we hear the race starts at the Offord Marina. Okay, so if we go back to our questions, then the Offord Marina is C, and that's the answer. We also hear the other venues, Summerpool, but that's where it ends, and that's not important for us. And we also hear that Charlesworth Bridge is the best place to watch it, but we don't need to know that either. So this is the bit we focus on, the start of the race, and the answer is the Offord Marina. And the final question, the speaker says, who will take part in the race? And we learn from the tourism officer that it's local boat clubs. And we want to know something about one of these clubs. And then we get information that they're all very good. In fact, one of them, this is key, this is what we need, came first in the West of England Regional Championship. So they won a competition, a regional competition in the West of England. So if we go back to the question, we'll see that here we've won several regional competitions, but we only heard about one, the West of England. So it's not C. They did more than represent, and it wasn't in a national competition, it was a regional competition. So the answer is A. They came first, they won a regional competition, and that's the answer. Okay, let's go on to another example, this time from section 3, so it will be a little bit more difficult. So this is a tutor and a student speaking about a presentation. The student is Russ, and he has some difficulty due to one of these issues. So we want to find out what the difficulty is that he is having. So why is he having difficulty? In the second question, Russ and his tutor agree on the approach. So we're looking at the approach that will be taken. So which direction will he take? And it's about Russ and his tutor and their agreement about this direction. And the final one is the tutor advises him. So we're looking for the advice that he gives. So what is the advice? But there's a connection about the slides. So you want to listen for the slides. Here you want to listen for some sort of agreement. And here you want to listen for some difficulty around the presentation. So let's see what is said. So immediately Ross says he's struggling. There's the difficulty, and this is the clue to listen. So he wants to know whether he should provide an introduction or make them understand his interest. One of the questions is lack of knowledge, but this is not Ross. The lack of knowledge is actually the students. Nothing is said about the time at all. He says something about 20 minutes, but this isn't connected with the struggle. So the answer is B. So if we go back to the question, we'll see he has no lack of knowledge. There is nothing about time. So the answer is he's uncertain about what he should try and achieve. Okay, let's move on to the second one. The tutor suggests he should look at how the technology is applied in a particular area. And Russ says that would be a good idea. So they agree on how it should be applied in a particular area. So particular area gives us the answer, which is used in one field, so a particular area. This is about a chronological development, it's not mentioned, and this is a range of applications, again, it's not mentioned. And let's look at the third one. So here we have the slides. If he should include slides, that's our keyword. So immediately we need to listen. The tutor says they're not essential. He thinks it's a bad idea to tailor what you say to the slides. So A is wrong, and you can waste time trying to find a slide to fit to what you want to say. So B is also doubtful. He thinks it's better to leave them, which points at C. So let's just go and see what that says. Talk about things you can find slides to illustrate. That's the advice. Look for slides to illustrate the points. So he says finding slides to illustrate the points is a waste of time. He doesn't talk about this in A, but he says it's a waste of time to try and find slides to illustrate the points. So he suggests leaving them out, which is C, and that's the answer. So I hope that's helpful. So you need to find a keyword that you can listen for, then you focus and you look at the choices at the same time and eliminate or choose. Sometimes it's a process of elimination, sometimes it's clear they're wrong, but you have to choose as you listen. But you can only do that if you choose one key word or key phrase. So I hope that helps. Thank you for watching this. I've written an article which gives a bit more detail, and if you head over to IELTS Learning Tips, my website, you'll be able to find the article there, along with some other free resources to help you with all aspects of IELTS. And I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you.